Welcome to The Business Strategist, the show for CEOs and founders ready to scale fast, lead smarter, and build a business that doesn't rely on them. I'm Adam Strong, award-winning strategist, former elite athlete, international speaker, and 3 times best-selling author. After 3 decades in business, I know exactly what it takes to grow, scale, and exit with impact. Each week, I dive into real conversations with industry experts, bold entrepreneurs, and clients navigating the uphill struggles of business, giving you the tools and the strategies to create more profit, more freedom, and more impact. Let's get into it. Are you planning to sell your business in the next 3 to 5 years? Then you already know it's not just about finding a buyer, it's about actually protecting what you've actually built. That's where our sponsor, Adam Benedict, comes in. They're one of the leading premier M&A legal firms trusted by founders to simplify complex exits, protect value, and deliver results. Now, if you want a smart, smoother, and strategic exit, visit adambenedict.co.uk. LinkedIn doesn't reward volume, it rewards positioning. Now, if you're a founder or a business owner who's good at what you do, you've got great experience, you've got results, you've got authority in your industry, but struggle to turn your content into real business, this episode is for you. Now, today, I'm going to introduce you to a framework, what I call Strong. What's really interesting about this is that I use this particular framework to help create my content. The formulation of the framework is that I showcase my content and I use things like my biggest mistakes, my insights, my life experiences, and I turn it into posts that basically, number one, resonates with my ICP, positions me as a strategic authority, and number 3, it starts real conversations. Now, the great thing about this is that you don't need to be a writer or a great copywriter. You just need really good structure. So let's jump into the framework itself. The reason I use this particular framework, I'm getting on average between 10 and 15% engagement on my LinkedIn posts alone. Now, as you guys know, I don't have like hundreds of thousands of followers on LinkedIn. I am a LinkedIn top voice. However, I do only have over just 7,000 followers on LinkedIn. But I can guarantee you that if you struggle to create content that resonates with your audience, just follow the framework that I'm about to go through. Let me break it down for you. So what does Strong actually stand for? So the S stands for start with a lived experience. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. T stands for tension through contrast. 3, reframe the problem. O stands for offer a clear path. And the 5th one is called next step or call to action. Now, if you remember those 5 steps, you can create a great LinkedIn post, some great video content, and you can do it in about 10 or 15 minutes. So what I would highly recommend you do, guys, is get a notebook and pen handy. I'm going to break down the framework in a little bit more depth and detail, but I'm also going to give you some examples. When I provide this framework with you, before creating any content, use this particular framework, and whatever content that you're creating, match it up to the framework that I'm about to give you to improve upon it. Okay. And then just see if you're consistently putting out content. I normally put out content roughly 3 to 4 times a week, and that's enough. But I'm consistent in what I do. Let's break down each letter one at a time. So the S, which is called start with a lived experience. Now this is what I call your personal proof hook. Now, marketeers, even LinkedIn gurus will share about the importance of the hook, or the first 2 to 3 lines, because effectively, if you create a hook, what you're doing is you're creating curiosity. And the more curiosity that you create, the better it would attract the readers. So instead of starting with theory, with something that you've done, start with something that you've actually lived by. What I tend to do is I tend to mix it up on a few things. So let me give you some examples of lines that work really well as opening hooks. Now, you can use these potential examples and make them your own. So, for example, on paper, I look like a success. Behind the scenes, I was drowning in operations. That's one example. Secondly, for years, I thought I wasn't ready to exit. And the third one was I scaled too late and it nearly broke the business. So effectively, it is starting from my reality. Okay. This makes a reader or a listener, depending on if you're doing video, of course, to lean in and think, okay, this guy or girl has lived this. This isn't just theory. This is real life experience. This is what makes it really interesting and enticing. So go back to those 3 examples and put your own hook on the end. Now, the T is tension through contrast. Now, what I mean by that is what I'd like to do is I like to show the painful gap and the cost of staying unstuck. What that basically means is the consequences of not taking action. All right. So what was the problem and what did it cost? So let me give you some other examples. So back-to-back meetings, constant firefighting, no time to think, lead or breathe. Okay. It's a big problem. It's a frustration. It's a struggle. Second example, quality drop, team morale dipped, growth stalled. Okay. So your job in this point in time is to make the reader feel that that's me. I'm living that experience. I can't stay here for much longer. I don't know how long I'm going to last if I stay in this position. All right. And again, this is a great way to show your vulnerability. I always found that mixturing vulnerability with like real life experiences, because ultimately we're all human beings and we all want to create content. And I know what some of you guys might be thinking, well, but what about the algorithm? What about creating more content? I can tell you now, guys, right, from experience, is that don't worry about the algorithm. What is your unique selling proposition is you. It's your vulnerability, your authority, and your positioning. No piece of AI, no one can replicate who you are. And that's you can't replace that. So that's so I wanted to kind of like share that with you guys. All right. Now the R is called reframe the problem. Now, what that basically means is most problems are solving the wrong problem, or this is where your name and the real issue really lies. And let me give you some examples of reframing the problem. So the problem wasn't revenue, it was founder dependency as an example. You don't have to wake up one day ready to exit, you design readiness. So it's kind of like I'm reliving an experience, but I'm kind of looking at it from a different perspective. So I'm flipping it on its head. It wasn't a time problem. It was a framework problem. So these are realizations. These are, let me step back and reflect here kind of epiphany. So this is where your authority lives. You see what they don't effectively. So that is reframe the problem. Is offer a clear path. Now, one of the things that I love to do is I don't love to stay at just ranting and talking about problems, frustrations, and struggles. What people really want is they want solutions. They want to know, so you experienced this. What did you discover? Like, what did you learn from this? People are looking for a way forward. They are looking for an action plan. So your reader or your listener, you need to give them a simple way to move forward, okay? And you can apply this. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, you're an accountancy practice, you're a coach. Give them a simple way to look forward. So some of the examples that you could potentially use is, for example, here's the 5-step or the 7-step framework I use to exit. Here's what changed. Bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we use a 3-stage exit journey: pre-exit, strategic planning, and execution. So again, I'm breaking down a framework. I'm breaking down a methodology. I'm breaking down checklists or steps of what I have, basically turning my experience into a system, something which is easily digestible and much easier to consume. N is the next step. So what is it that you want the reader or the listener to do? So every piece of content needs to have a clear action. And you've really got to decide on, is the post that you're creating, is it for engagement? Is it for lead generation? Or is it just a point of reflection? So you've got to decide on what's the purpose of the content in the first place. So let me give you some examples, whatever it is that you're offering, and I'll send you the assessment. So in my example is, if you want to know how to exit ready your business, DM exit ready, and I'll send you an assessment. Another good example is drop exit in the comments and I'll send you a checklist. I'll send you a PDF. I'll send you an assessment. I'll send you a video course that helps you to get from point A to point B. The third example would be is, what's one thing that stops you doing tomorrow if the business could run without you? So that is a question that is driving engagement. So it's building community. All right. It's sharing your experience, but also what you're doing is you are effectively asking the reader, and in asking them for engagement, asking them for their opinion, asking them for their feedback. And this is how you basically turn your attention into momentum, essentially. Now, the G, if you want to include it, of course, is what I call like a bolt-on. It's kind of like the core foundation of everything. But the G really is all around making sure that you have your inner voice. So getting your inner voice, you're getting your inner voice across in an authentic way. Because again, people buy you, people buy your trust, people buy your relationship. And it's kind of like the core foundation of what really, what's underneath the hood. It's your voice. It's your authority markers. So it could be your years of experience in the game, your results, your story. So in my case, it's like 33 years of building, scaling, and exiting a business. It could be training as an elite athlete. It could be working with founders and firms on exit readiness. So you don't really need a separate step for that. It's just kind of baked into your stories and your experience. So what I would like to propose, I'm going to actually give you guys a challenge. Now, what I'd like you to do, the challenge is that if you've got an idea for a piece of content, all right? So now, again, depending on what your niche is, what your thought leadership is, what you're trying to get across. It could be anything. It could be health, wealth, finances, whatever it might be. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to use the framework that I've provided for you. So create a piece of content, run it through a piece of AI like ChatGPT or Gemini, using the strong framework that I have given you, and create your own piece of content. All right. Keep the short sentences short and concise. Keep it punchy. Make sure it's readable. So not long sentences. Keep it short and punchy. And no more than kind of 1,000 words. 800 to 1,200 words is the sweet spot. And just put some content out there. You can use an image. You can use a piece of video accompanied with that. Or you can just leave it on its own. And just see what the engagement is. I can guarantee you that if you start using this framework, if you're not getting the engagement, if you're not getting the leads, if you're not getting the connections and the relationships, I can guarantee you it will work, because it's been working for me for many, many, many months. Anyway, just wanted to say thank you so much for listening in. This was a short, sharp episode of the Strong Framework. If you have enjoyed this episode, of course, feel free to leave me a 1 or a 5-star review over on Apple or Spotify. And hopefully we'll see you again back on The Business Strategist. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers.